Welcome, age of vintage society. The gift of a man will always make a way for him. The same is true of Hollywood, where some actors tend to excel, not much about talent, but their attractive body builds. One legendary actor who was famous for his beefcake role is Victor Mature. He was a rock-hard stage performer who appeared more concerned with his career fame and being the quintessential heartthrob of Hollywood women than career medals. He was no doubt a leading man on screen, but of the camera he comfortably led the ladies with his easygoing lifestyle and trademark barrel chest. Was Victor Mature the ultimate rival to Clark Gable and Co? Victor Mature, the biblical epics icon, was a sensation of a kind during his interesting career, but it seems his screen prominence was buried in a different type of goal, prompting many to think of it as a misplaced priority, or was it a case of overindulgence? Mature's huge girth, complemented by those hooded eyes and the powerful bass voice that became his signature, seemed like his strength of character. At least that was what everyone thought about him until he worked with more proficient directors that showed he could do better. Victor Mature was one of the early Hollywood movie idols. His act was felt in several legendary movies, and despite his immense contribution to the industry, one question has always come up each time his name is mentioned. Why were his efforts not acknowledged with a requisite award? While some argued that winning the prestigious Oscar is not just about the performance but the politics too, others opined that the likes of Victor Mature were more interested in something else, different from what the industry considered as a creative act, thereby constantly provoking a mocking response from critics amidst career fame. Something that has the years put his name underneath, despite his undeniable appeal to a wider set of audience. Victor's performing style was therefore justly or unjustly adjudged by most critics as below standard. This was always why an analyst referred to Victor Mature as a beautiful hunk of junk, even with his outstanding performance in an epic biblical movie like Samson and Delilah, which remained one of his remarkable outings. His techniques did not appeal to many as creative acts. It does mean that the body display, which he was famous for in his movies, did not serve him right. A fellow even insinuated that his bust was bigger than the leading ladies, which was uninteresting for him as a professional movie talent. Beyond his no-medal journey in Hollywood, Mature is a handsome gentleman and one of the early movie macho attractions. Of course he knew what he had was of value to the ladies, so he exploited it to his advantage, and as a friend once said, he enjoyed it while it lasted. Victor is one man who kissed notable Hollywood beauties. He may not be talented in terms of an acceptable criterion, but he was nevertheless a natural talent on screen, even as he enjoyed the most gorgeous moments with Hollywood leading ladies. The likes of Hedy Lamarr, Betty Grable, and Rita Hayworth readily come to mind. And expectedly Victor followed many of the women who met his fancy off the screen, and in a manner that put him up in history as one of the notable Hollywood philanderers. Maybe I should also add that it was not unconnected to why many of his 5 marriages could not stand the test of time, and had ended in divorce. I was reading an article recently about famous movie icons that did not win the Academy Awards. I quickly remembered Victor Mature because I knew he deserved one of those statues, and as I skimmed through the paragraphs I saw what I was looking for. His name was on the list, alongside remarkable Hollywood legends like Walter Pidgeon and others. It confirms my high assessment of the great career life of this once-upon-a-time heartthrob of Hollywood female audience. Victor was at his best in the 1950s and was a key figure in Hollywood-produced theological epics such as Samson and Delilah, The Robe, and many others. These movies were popular owing to the acceptability of the Christian doctrine as a morally accepted subject for societal guardians. It, however, was a different thing for the like of Victor Mature, who should have risen to fame with it. Was it an opportunity for Hollywood to showcase scantily dressed actors, or an opportunity for the actors to showcase their physical qualities and attract entertainment fame? If only his efforts were duly rewarded with the box office gold. Almost everyone suggested that with the number of films Victor played in, he should have been better placed than where he found himself, and I asked again, this time out of curiosity about his physique, attracting jealous comments from male critics that tend to deride his image. Yes, he was seen more or less as a Hollywood sex symbol, but several cheesecakes or female icons did transcend their popularity to winning laudable medals for their career. This added heat to the never-ending debate about Victor Mature and his pin-up career. To some of us he was a typical hero, the Prince Charming that most ladies desire, the reason he was easy-going with them. Let us not forget that Victor Mature is among the real war heroes. He served in the Coast Guard as World War II raged, plus a series of war bond tours and morale shows to his credit in 1944. I hear that he was at some points engaged to beautiful Rita Hayworth and even Anne Shirley, but how his affairs with these ladies played out is not an issue, because his numerous flings with women did not stop him from achieving greatness and wealth. I also admired him for his hobbies. His love for golf, some said, made him build his San Diego house just behind the 9th hole of the Rancho Santa Fe golf course. Victor Mature's expertise in real estate investments and his thriving television outings provided enough money that enabled him to take on roles he wanted and as he needed it. Perhaps he was just okay appearing in movies and enjoying his women regardless of what was happening in the awards arena. For about 45 years of active service, Victor Mature thrilled his audience and became very famous for doing the sword and sandal epics. Regardless of his Hollywood sex siren image and his love for things under the skirt, Mature was acknowledged by producers as a scandal-free leading man. In case you still doubt who and what Victor Mature did in the entertainment industry, I think you should go through the archives and take a cursory view of legendary movies like 1 Billion Years BC and No No Nanette, among others. And very painfully, Mature was never nominated for any Oscar recognition, not to talk of winning one. The closest he got, critics thought, about his jinx in this area was not being nominated for his Demetrius role in 1953's The Robe, which almost everyone felt he should have been considered for the Best Supporting Actor category. That one too passed him, and of course nothing spoiled for a highly dominating character actor like Victor Mature. He may have missed real benefits that should have accrued in the industry. I'm glad he did not miss the beautiful ladies that took their turn to put his busy mind to rest. Like many of his kind, Mature also had his dream of what he wanted his life to be like right from childhood. Mature was born in Louisville, Kentucky, to Marcellus Mature and Clara. His father was a cutler and knife sharpener from an Italian neighborhood known as Pinzolo, which is located somewhere in Trentino, and his mother, Kentucky-born Clara, was of Swiss heritage. After his parent lost their first son to osteomyelitis disease when the little boy was still tender, his only sister was born, but the girl also died in 1906, leaving Clara and her husband in grief for years, until Victor came to wipe their tears away. On the 29th of January 1913, Victor John Mature was born. Little Victor was educated at St. Xavier High School in Louisville and later at the Kentucky Military Institute, plus the Spencerian Business School, as the case may be. Though his poor parents were able to train him academically until he was 14, the year he was expelled from the last school he was in, just like the previous ones. Based on what had happened to his siblings, I can imagine the kind of love and attention he must have gotten from his parents while growing up, but as a man of vision, Victor knew that he had more to offer humanity, so he never allowed anything to hold him down. Coming from a humble background, he was said to have briefly sold candy and ran a restaurant for a while before deciding that it was not what he wanted, as he made a destiny move over to California. In the city, he was lucky to have been given free tuition at the Pasadena Community Playhouse when he was 20. After appearing in several stage productions for 3 years and living in a temporal structure around the neighborhood, Mature was noticed by Charles R. Rogers, an agent to Hal Roach. Reports say while he was in action during the production of Taquito and Back, Rogers said he looked like a rival to Clark Gable, Robert Taylor and Errol Flynn, and sooner he was given a 7-year contract with Hal Roach in 1939. His huge figure was one of the things that sold him out. But I'm particularly glad that no one mentioned his interest in the ladies at this time. suggesting that it's either he was more focused on career success at the time than bodily pleasure, or that he repressed his desires so he can be useful to himself. Either way, it was worth the trouble, as nothing good comes easy. For a small role in The Housekeeper's Daughter, reviewers gave him names like a handsome Tarzan type, and according to him that little show got him over 20,000 fan letters. His first leading role as a prehistoric human in 1 million BC got lots of attention and enhanced Mature's image in the industry that he was likened to a smaller Johnny Weissmuller. Critics thought that Mature didn't take himself too seriously, the reason it never bothered him, even when his effort in the industry was not properly recognised, but it came back to embarrass him on many occasions. At a time he had applied to be a part of a country club, just like other famous Hollywood talents, but was rejected for a reason not very clear to him, and when he inquired, Victor was shocked by the response he got from the authority. It seemed the club rejected him because they did not see his name anywhere among the famous Hollywood talents that he claimed to be. Perhaps they're not accepting other professionals outside the famous actors category. And out of anger and curiosity, Mature responded, "I'm no actor, and I have 70 movies to prove it." Mature is a responsible philanderer and was rarely in the news for scandalous reasons. His first marriage to actress Frances Charles, who was known for 1952's Yukon Gold, in 1938 was annulled after 2 years of marriage. The following year he moved in with Martha Stevenson Kemp after she lost her husband, band leader Hal Kemp. It didn't look like either of them was ready for that marriage that ended in 1943 with divorce. I'm not sure if Mature was seriously looking for love, or that he was often distracted with outside women that he could not stabilise his marriages, not with the ease at which he moved from one marriage to another. In 1948 he was in again for the third marriage with Dorothy Stanford Berry, and just like the former, divorce was inevitable in 1955. One major difference was that the marriage endured longer than the previous. Mature was not true with marriage because he took Adrienne Joy Erwick through another marital vow that was even longer than the previous, spanning close to 10 years before they split in 1969. Loretta Gay Sabina, the opera singer, would be his last shot at the marriage register because his union with her remained till his demise. Sabina also gave him his only child, who took to opera singing like her mother. Victor Mature also had several mistresses, some of whom he wanted to add to his list of marriages but could not for one reason or the other. After appearing in MGM's $1 Million Mermaid, a musical he made with Esther Williams, Mature began an affair with her. That relationship was also corroborated by Williams' memoir, which talked about her love life with Mature after they met on the set of the biopic of Annette Kellerman, where Mature played Kellerman's husband. As I said earlier, Mature was a real businessman in the movie industry at least. One person who did not mince words about this is Henry Costa, who directed him in a popular musical, Wabash Avenue, alongside Betty Grable. Costa recalled how Mature was a nice person to work with, but very amusing. He very much looked out for his money always, he stated, referring to his focus on not just entertainment fame, but on earning and growing his money. Though everything was not rosy for Mature, one scenario occurred while filming with director DeMille. It was reported that Mature was terrified by several animals and mechanical props being used in the production, which included the lions, the wind machine, the swords, and so on. His posture has angered the director, who later addressed the entire crew, saying that she had met a few men that were afraid of heights, water, fire, or even afraid of closed or open spaces, but in her words, "In my 35 years of filming experience, I have not until now met a man who was 100% yellow," referring to the extremely cautious Victor Mature. No one can blame Victor Mature for not winning an Oscar, because greatness comes in diverse dimensions, and I guess history would not forget the legacy of a man who did his best to immortalize his name with his style of creativity. Especially when we put side by side his spectacular performance in movies like his interpretation of My Darling Clementine, Kiss of Death, and others. Victor Mature died in his home on the 4th of August 1999, after retiring to his golfing haven of Rancho Santa Fe. He was survived by his wife, Loretta Mature. But wait, don't leave us just yet. If you thought Victor Mature was something, just wait till we introduce you to the one and only John Payne. So stick around, hit that subscribe button, and get ready for more of our witty banter and classic movie madness.